City of Shadows. The neon lights of Neo-Athens flickered against the rain-slicked streets, casting eerie reflections on the asphalt. The city never slept, its heartbeat a relentless thrum of machinery and corruption. High above the slums, the elites sipped champagne in their towering glass spires, insulated from the grime below. For Vera Sinclair, this was home, a labyrinth of shadows, lies, and death. Vera was a private investigator, a dying breed in a city where most crimes were bought and paid for before they were committed. She'd seen the worst of humanity. Betrayals, murders, and secrets that could topple entire corporations. Her clientele was a mix of desperate fools, vengeful spouses, and those seeking truth in a city built on deception. She had a reputation for being cynical, detached, and ruthlessly effective. But even she had her limits. A new case. The knock on her office door was soft but insistent. Vera glanced up from her whiskey and cigarette, her brow furrowing. She wasn't expecting anyone, especially not at this hour. "Come in," she called, her voice gruff. The door creaked open, revealing a woman draped in a trench coat that screamed old money. Her face was obscured by a wide-brimmed hat, but Vera caught a glimpse of red lips and sharp cheekbones. "I need your help," the woman said, stepping inside. Her voice was smooth, calculated. "Everyone does," Vera replied, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. "Sit. Talk." The woman hesitated before sitting down, her movements precise and deliberate. "My name is Evelyn Blackwell. My husband, Gregory, was murdered 3 nights ago." Vera raised an eyebrow. "The Gregory Blackwell? CEO of NovaCorp?" Evelyn nodded. "Yes. The authorities have dismissed it as a random act of violence. But I know better. Gregory was a careful man. This was no accident." Vera leaned back in her chair, her gaze sharp. "Why come to me? NovaCorp could hire an army of investigators." Evelyn's red lips tightened into a thin line. "Because I can't trust anyone else. Gregory was working on something dangerous. I need someone outside the system." Vera's curiosity was piqued. Dangerous projects in Neo-Athens usually meant dirty secrets worth killing for. "Fine. I'll take the case. But my rates aren't cheap." "Money isn't an issue," Evelyn replied, sliding a data chip across the desk. "Everything I know is on this. Find out who killed my husband." Vera pocketed the chip and watched as Evelyn left, her heels clicking against the floor. Something about the woman didn't sit right, but Vera had learned long ago not to let instincts override a payday. Diving into the shadows. The data chip contained a treasure trove of encrypted files. Vera spent hours decoding them, uncovering snippets of Gregory Blackwell's life. Business meetings, private communications, and a heavily redacted file labeled Project Omega. The more she uncovered, the more uneasy she felt. Gregory had been in deep, dealing with shadowy figures tied to Neo-Athens' most dangerous corporations. Project Omega appeared to be the key, but every lead was buried under layers of security. Vera decided to pay a visit to one of Gregory's known associates, a hacker named Axel who operated out of the city's underbelly. The neon-lit streets grew darker as she descended into the slums. The air was thick with the stench of oil and decay. She found Axel in a dingy backroom, surrounded by screens displaying streams of code. "Vera Sinclair," Axel said without turning around. "Been a while." "Cut the pleasantries," Vera said. "I need information on Project Omega." Axel smirked, spinning his chair to face her. "You always did pick the fun cases. What's in it for me?" "Not getting your head smashed in," Vera replied, her hand hovering over the pistol at her hip. Axel chuckled. "Fair enough. Give me a minute." His fingers flew across the keyboard as Vera waited, scanning the room for any signs of trouble. Axel finally leaned back, his face pale. "You're playing with fire, Sinclair. Project Omega was some high-level black ops. Experimental tech, bioweapons, you name it. Blackwell was trying to expose it. Looks like he pissed off the wrong people. Who's behind it? Vera asked. Hard to say, Axel said. But there's one name that keeps popping up. Evelyn Blackwell? Betrayal in the shadows. Vera's mind raced as she left Axel's den. Evelyn had hired her to find Gregory's killer. But what if she was the one pulling the strings? The thought made her blood boil. She needed answers, and she needed them now. She made her way to the Blackwell estate, a sprawling mansion perched high above the city. The security was tight, but Vera was no stranger to sneaking past guards. She slipped through the shadows, her footsteps silent as she entered the estate. The mansion was eerily quiet. Vera moved quickly, searching for anything that could confirm her suspicions. In Gregory's office, she found a safe hidden behind a portrait. Took her less than a minute to crack it open. Inside were stacks of documents, a flash drive, and a pistol. Vera pocketed the drive and skimmed the documents. They detailed Project Omega in horrifying detail. Human experimentation, covert assassinations, and plans for citywide control. Enjoying yourself, Miss Sinclair? Vera spun around, her pistol drawn. Evelyn stood in the doorway, her red lips curling into a smile. You knew, Vera said, her voice cold. You knew what Gregory was working on, and you killed him to cover it up. Evelyn laughed softly. Oh, darling, you have no idea. Gregory was a fool. He thought he could play the hero, expose the truth. I couldn't let him ruin everything I've built. Vera's finger tightened on the trigger. You hired me to clean up your mess. I hired you to see how much you'd uncover, Evelyn said, stepping closer. And now that you know the truth, I can't let you walk away. The final stand. The sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway as Evelyn's guards approached. Vera fired a warning shot, forcing Evelyn to retreat. She bolted, clutching the flash drive like her life depended on it. The mansion turned into a battlefield. Guards swarmed the halls, their weapons blazing. Vera moved like a shadow, her training kicking in as she dispatched them one by one. Her heart pounded as she made her way to the exit. Evelyn's voice rang out over the estate speakers. You can't escape, Sinclair. You're just another pawn in the game. Vera ignored her, her focus razor-sharp. She reached the gates, bloodied but alive, and disappeared into the chaos of Neo-Athens, exposing the truth. Back in her office, Vera plugged the flash drive into her computer. The files contained everything she needed to expose Evelyn and Project Omega. It was a damning collection of evidence that could shake the foundations of Neo-Athens. Vera contacted an underground journalist known for exposing corporate corruption. Together, they released the files to the public. The city erupted in chaos as the truth spread like wildfire. Evelyn Blackwell disappeared, her empire crumbling under the weight of her sins. But Vera knew it was only a matter of time before someone else rose to take her place. In Neo-Athens, corruption was as eternal as the neon lights. A cynical hope. Vera sat in her office, staring at the rain streaking down the window. She had won, but the victory felt hollow. Gregory Blackwell was still dead, and the city remained a cesspool of greed and violence. But for the first time in years, Vera felt a flicker of hope. She had made a difference, however small. And in a city of shadows, even the smallest light could shine brightly. With a sigh, she lit a cigarette and poured herself a drink. The fight wasn't over, but she was ready for whatever came next.